What's up, vinyl maniacs? Welcome back to this new episode. Now, in the last episode, I mercilessly butchered that horrible excuse for a label that goes by the name of Night of the Vinyl Dead Records. With this new one, I'm back to my regular series of collection clearance videos. You know the format at this point. I'm just taking a look at the records I recently sold and share some memories concerning them with you dedicated vinyl maniacs. This time I sold astonishing amount of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 records, and some of them are absolute rarities, which kind of kills my heart to part ways with, but it is what it is. I decided to sell it all, and I have to stand up by it. Gehenna, first spell, being the first one of them. Oh wow! When I started selling my record collection, I decided that Gehenna would be one of those bands that no way on in hell I would ever sell. But guess what? I had to eat my own words after being after receiving some some of those offers that you just can't possibly turn down. This is a masterpiece, first spell, very first album by them. It's a mini LP release. That's a mini CD actually that came out on Had Not Found Records in 1995. They only put out the CD version of it, and the Domination Records took care of the vinyl version 2 years later. This label is, I mentioned it in the past, it's a sorely missed. It was a bloody brilliant label that put out some really great albums. Thinking about Pentacle, the Ein Harrier 7-inch CP, as well as many other releases. Sadly missed. What to say about this album? Well, signed by Dolgar, as you probably saw, as you've probably seen in the on the back side. Hail Satan, kind of cringe, but it is what it is. It contains my very favorite Gehenna song, Angel Wings and Ravenclaws, which was also contained in the demo tape, whose LP version I also parted ways with. I guess I'll have to stick with the reissues or just buy a second-hand CD, like I have done with the demo tape. I bought the, reissue on CD, and I'm kind of happy with it, actually. Like I found out that there's a life besides vinyl. You can still be a happy person without vinyl. Guess what? So, yep, 666 copies. Definitely great band, in my opinion. This band is probably the best. I can't really think of any other band doing this keyboard-based black metal thing better than Gehenna. I know that a lot of people tend to look upon Dimmu Borgir as the ultimate masterpieces of melodic black metal, but no, to my humble opinion, Gehenna just does this style with way more talent and attitude than Dimmu Borgir. At least their first three albums, everything up to and including Malice, is top-notch black metal. Now, when they switched on to death metal, they completely lost all my respect. I mean, no, not really my respect, because I mean, as long as you're playing whatever suits you, you always get my respect. But yeah, I lost my interest in them because I think that their death metal stuff just doesn't hold up. It just doesn't hold a candle to the black metal stuff. So, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, goodbye first spell. Hope the new owner will take good care of you. Merciless, The Awakening. Now, I spoke about this album in one of my previous episodes, when I focused on when I had this Deathly Silence Productions special dedicated to the DSP vinyl collection, which is pretty much over now. This was like the second to last DSP vinyl left in my collection. The only one left now is the mini LP by Burzum, the infamous Aske mini LP, which for some reason I decided to keep, at least for the moment. For the future, we will see, but at this point in time, it's staying with me. Now, The Awakening, yeah, it's a classic. I mean, it's who am I to say it is not, but in my opinion, my humble opinion, this is the least good Merciless album. This is a pretty unpopular opinion, and I know you're probably gonna flame me in the comments down below, but it's just my honest take on this record. I do like the songs, but I tend to like them much better in the versions on the demo tapes. The Realm of the Dark demo tape is something that I still play these days. Absolutely killer. These versions, I mean, they just don't. In my opinion, the production on this record is kind of slightly fucked up. It tends to sound too muddy and too creator-like. Not that sounding like creator is a bad thing per se, but yep, I tend to prefer the songs in the more raw and aggressive versions of the demo tapes. Needless to say, people pay crazy amounts of money for this version. This is the second pressing of the LP, 1000 units with the Death Like Silence Productions address, as opposed to the first one, which didn't include the address of the label. Again, a classic, don't get me wrong, but perhaps not the Merciless record I would probably pick up with me and put it in my bag if I was confined to a desert island. That would be Unbound. Now, Unbound is a total classic, but of course not particularly rare these days, so yeah, not much profit there, so it stays in my collection. No, I'm just joking, I'm keeping it because I bloody fucking love it. So, goodbye Merciless, not a record I will miss that much, so yeah, you can just go. Broken Hope, oh my goodness, Broken Hope, 3 records. Now this is a solid death metal albums, this is a bunch of solid death metal albums. Broken Hope, US death metal, can't possibly go wrong with them if you like this genre. I tend to think the Swamp Thing Gore LP is their best one of the lot, but I like pretty much all of them. The Bowels of Repugnance, pretty strong LP, as well as Repulsive Conception. Interesting thing about these albums, they all came out on CD, and at some point, Ametic Records, some obscure American label, decided to put them out as a vinyl, but somehow turns out they didn't have the rights to actually do so. So what happens is that what was next? Was that they got nuked by Discogs, and their LPs, their older releases are currently considered bootlegs. So you can't really find them anywhere, and as such they have become huge rarities. If I have to believe to the info provided by the that site poppsych.com, they go by prices like, I don't know, 300 euros each, which is pretty insane. And yeah, what to say, great band. Personally, I would never pay that those insane prices for just about any band, but I mean, solid band, no question about it. Get a chance to see them live, absolutely cool dudes. So yeah, if you do happen to own any Emetic Records release, just yeah, make sure to sell them for the right amount of money, because they are bloody rare. All of them are gatefold releases. They did a pretty good job at it, I would say. Unfortunately, they are pressed at my beloved GZ, which is like my personal nemesis, but this time they did a pretty good job. So yeah, I might want to acquire them on CD, because I tend to like the musical content on all these 3 albums. Oh, Shab Nigurat. Now this is a record that I really I will regret selling it. I know it. I already regret selling it, actually, because it might as well be one of my favorite underground death metal LPs of all times. Now this is, if you're looking for Morbid Angel influenced death metal, can possibly do better than Shab Nigurat, in my opinion. This band, I dare to say, they're doing this style even better than Sadistic Intent, which in my opinion is a tad overrated for what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, absolutely brilliant band. But Shab Nigurat pioneered this death metal, this Morbid Angel sound, better than many other bands. Like if you're looking for anything that sounds like Altus of Madness, this is definitely your go-to album. Sadly, only 1000 copies were pressed at the time of its release on the Guttural Records from Mexico, which of course didn't have much of a distribution back in the days, and as such this band has been confined to rather cultish reputation, which I mean, I would have really hoped that this band would have got bigger with the years. I think they're still active these days, but they never really made it big, which I think they would have deserved, because their album, at least this mini LP, is absolutely killer. Just try to find a copy of it. I myself am gonna buy probably a second-hand copy of the mini CD, because it sucks to part ways with this album. I played it like 3 times before just to check out it was in good conditions and everything, and I was surprised by how good this record is. This is definitely one of those records that I'm gonna miss, so I have to say goodbye to Shab. Hope maybe one day I will find another copy of it. At least the CD version should be readily available, the digipack reissue at least. Not sure about the originals, but yeah. It sucks to part ways with this one, but what to do? Life is life. Last one for this time. Pertinence, member of Immortal Domination. Now, this is yet another LP I had a chance to discuss in a previous episode. I think the one covering a bunch of obscure death metal releases which I sold. And this one somehow took some time to sell because I was not asking for a cheap price, not at all. I mean, what's the point? This is a bloody rare record. You will not find many copies in such good conditions. Drown Productions released it in 1992. Drown Productions, the label that nowadays goes by the name of Extreme Records, still run by the dedicated dude that who handles the vocals for the Avulsed band, Dave Rotten. Absolutely dedicated dude. The album itself, I mean, not exactly reinventing the wheel, not exactly my all-time favorite band, not exactly the kind of record that I will bring with me in my tomb, especially now that I sold it. So no chance. Yeah, it's very simplistic actually. The riffing not particularly inspired. What is definitely cool about this album is the cover artwork, courtesy of Chris Moyen. If you follow my channel, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of the man's art, but in this case, it was pretty inspired. You know, like of course he has his usual motive of like skeletons riding dead animals and long-haired skeletons again. I mean, kind of cheesy, kind of crappy if you are looking at it with it, you know, with the eyes of 2025. But back then, there was no other artist doing it. Doing this necro style the way that Chris did, so props to him. I tend to think that his later works are kind of repetitive. That's just my humble opinion. If it pays his bills, that's all that matters, really. One last thing about this copy, it contains both inserts. Like if you check Discogs, there's only a mention of one insert, but somehow my copy came with two inserts, which is pretty bloody cool, so I guess the new owner will be happy. So guys, that was the last album for this episode. It was shorter than I thought it would be. If you have any ideas concerning the next episode, for the content on the next episode, just feel free to let me know down in the comments as usual. I would like to hear some comments of yours concerning these records, especially the Shab one. Do you know the band at all? Because like if you don't know, then just go check them out. Absolutely brilliant stuff. As for the future, the plan is for 2025 is to release at least one or two demos a month. Two demos, yeah, right, like I had a band. No, two videos a month. I mean, I will try to keep this channel live as long as possible. Still enjoying listening to music, you know, and discussing, sharing my views with you dedicated vinyl fans, so just feel free to get in touch. And as usual, I close every episode reminding you that my collection is up for grabs. It's mainly the black metal collection, but if you're interested, you have seen that in this episode that like the vast majority of it was dedicated to death metal bands, so if there is any death metal that you're after and you're willing to acquire, if you can come up with the right offer, I mean, we will definitely find an agreement at some point. I mean, don't lose my time offering me like 20 euros for my first Asphyx LP. Mind you, Asphyx is not a band that I'm parting ways with. None of their releases is for sale, but I mean, you never know. Just feel free to come up with an offer and we will see. By the way, you can find me on Discogs. Some of you guys asked me if I have a Discogs account. Of course I do. Some of you recognize me from there. You can find me there as Not Afraid of Love, not _afraid _of love. Just check out my collection, and if you see something of interest and you feel like you can come up with a good offer, just do so, or you can get in touch via email, oldschoolmervani@yahoo.com. And just like that, that does it for this episode, and see you next time. Keep it loud and heavy as always.